Rank?
I'm a Lieutenant Colonel in the SAPS, my lord.
And where are you attached?
I'm attached to the Ballistics section of the Forensic Science Laboratory in Silverton.
In what capacity?
As a forensic analyst and crime scene reconstruction specialist.
That in common parlance you're called a ballistic expert.
That's correct, my lord.
How many years service?
I'm 29 years in the police and then 28 years at the ballistic section.
Just want to show you exhibit X13 in brackets A. Can you identify that document for the court?
Yes, my lord, I can identify this document.
Is that your affidavit?
That's correct, my lord.
Yes.
What is the date thereof?
The date that it was signed.
Yes.
It was signed on the 5th of November 2014.
Yes.
Right, you can go ahead and place the contents thereof on record.
My lord, I'll start with paragraph 2.
No, start at paragraph 1.
Okay,
In case this case goes somewhere else.
Judge Rutter always says the most interesting things. Why did he say, in case this case goes somewhere else, unprovoked? Mangena is just going through his qualifications, and now he's been asked to read his own affidavit into the record, and Mangena's like, no, I'm going to start reading from paragraph 2. And this is a man who says he has over 28 years in the ballistic unit. So, you know what? This was quite interesting that he automatically decided, okay, with all his court experience, he automatically decided he's starting from paragraph 2. What is he skipping in paragraph 1? We're going to hear shortly. But so far, so good. For me, this is Colonel Mangena, okay, the forensic analyst and crime scene reconstruction specialist, well known as a ballistic expert. Is he an expert of note, or are we going to see what we saw with Steyn, where he came in as an expert for the South African Police Services, but didn't give off expert in his answers, in his demeanor, in his decorum? He was just a loose cannon. Or maybe that's what happens when you go on retirement. You kind of throw away all the professionalism out the window. But you know what, Mzansi? Let's get back into his qualifications because they're pretty interesting. Let's go.
Okay.
I'll do so, my lord. I number 0471799/6. I'm a captain, or was a captain by then, in the South African Police Services and in service of the state. I'm attached to the ballistic section of the Forensic Science Laboratory.
Can you read it, sir?
I have been attached to the ballistic section since 1995 as an examiner of forensics, ballistic related cases. I have up to date examined in excess of 5,620 cases. I examine ballistics related cases as part of my daily task and testify on a regular basis in the courts of South Africa. I have successfully completed a 3 years in-service training course at the ballistics section in the theoretical practical application of forensic ballistic science.
That's a good business.
Yeah, because this is scientific science document. You must read. If it goes anywhere else, fine. It will be interpreted to the accused thereafter in full. Paragraph by paragraph, Mr. Jonas. Is it okay? Thanks. Yebo.
Paragraph 2.1. I have received in-service training in the following aspects of the forensic ballistic science: identification of ammunition, fired bullets and fired cartridge cases, the use of microscopic equipment, microscopic individualization of firearms, ammunition, fired bullets and cartridge cases, microphotograph, identification of firearms, examination of firearm mechanism, the different manufacturing processes of firearm and firearm components, examination of homemade devices, techniques associated with the recovery and restoration process of obliterated alphanumeric figures on the metal, the reloading of ammunition and manufacturing processes of ammunition, the short range determination, crime scene investigation and examination techniques, the taking of photograph, documentation of the results during investigation, microscopic individualization of tools and tool mark, physical matching, and then we have what we call internal ballistics. Internal ballistics is the functioning of a firearm mechanism during the firing process, the burning rate of propellant powder and gas pressure, the transfer of marks by firearm to cartridge cases, and fired bullets. And intermediate forensic ballistics, the effect that hot gases, propellant powder, and partially bent propellant powder has on intermediate targets before and after exit of the bullet from the muzzle of the firearm, the forming and effect of secondary missiles caused by intermediate targets, and the external forensic ballistics, the trajectory of a bullet from the muzzle of the firearm to the final point of impact, and terminal forensic ballistics, the wounding effect that the bullet has on tissue, which is wound ballistics, the effect that the bullet has on the target, and vice versa, the effect that the target has on the bullet. I visited the firearm and ammunition manufacturers to ascertain for myself which processes are used in the manufacturing of firearms and ammunition. Locally, I visited LEW, which is Littleton Engineering Works. I visited Truvelo. I visited New Generations Ammunition, which is NGA. I visited Somchem, Swart Labs, and in foreign countries, I visited Norinco in China. 2.7. During August to September 2002, I attended the course presented by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI of the United States, which comprises of the following: the bullet trajectory reconstruction, techniques in firearm identification, gunpowder and gunshot residue. During November 2010, I attended the course presented by Ross M. Gardner of Bevel Gardner and Associates from the United States also, which comprises of the following: the bloodstain pattern analysis, level 1, bloodstain pattern analysis, level 2, and crime scene reconstruction, level 1. In 2012, but it's not on this, I also did the advanced bloodstain pattern analysis with Ross Gardner. In 2.9, I have obtained a national diploma in policy with the University of South Africa.
Okay. So Lieutenant Colonel Mangena, okay, he's come through with his qualifications. He has put them on record. And you know what? I'm going to also go on record and say, well, his qualifications and training seems to be about the business, okay? His qualifications are all about the forensics and dun, okay? He's been with the police for 29 years. And of those 29 years, 28 of them, he was in the ballistics unit. So, you know what? He must have been a young policeman who showed, of course, high level of intelligence. And then, of course, he moved up. I don't know how that transition happened because it happened within a year, literally within a year. So I imagined when they say ballistic expert that this involves a lot of physics, okay, a lot of maths, a lot of calculations. And as he goes down and breaks down his qualifications, yep, that's what forensic science is: a lot of calculations and a lot of measuring and a lot of reconstruction. Now, where did he get his qualifications from? So some of the things he mentions is that identification of ammunition, which is key in the SENZO MEYIWA trial, right? Identification of firearms, taking pictures at the crime scene. So he was actually at the crime scene, okay? He is not like the host or Stain who were given the job, like, I know, 8 years later, 6 years later, whatever the case may be. Literally, Colonel Mangena, who then was a captain, was at the Spaza house. I think that is key. Okay. So we all know that the crime scene was contaminated and. But you know what? Mr. Expert got there. So what he puts on the record will now tell us his expertise. But in terms of his qualifications on paper, I personally am going to vouch for him. I mean, he's come through with the information. I accept his qualifications. Okay, highlights that he mentioned that listen, I'm not just a ballistic expert in the South African Police Services. Okay, I have been trained by the FBI. Okay, the Federal Bureau of Investigation over there in America. He makes sure to tell us that. Okay, and then he says during that time we learned about what bullet trajectory reconstruction, techniques in firearm identification. Again, something very, very key that we need in this SENZO MEYIWA trial. Gunpowder and residue. I would have loved to have seen if any of those Spaza home occupants, the Longways and the Tumelos, all those guys, if they had done gunpowder residue on them, that would have been key. Not this. Let's find the people who killed Senzo Meyiwa 6 years later and then say, yeah, these are the guys, because there ain't no gunpowder residue. So for me, the evidence is pretty circumstantial because did they clear those in the house of the gunpowder residue, or did they just assume they are the victims? Oh my God, the celebrity Kelly Kumalo and Senzo Meyiwa. There is no way nobody here is the assailant, but they are all victims. I think that was a crucial step missed. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Let me know in the comment section if you know if they did the gunpowder residue. He also talks about the bloodstain pattern analysis, and we know Mr. Pathologist also covered that in detail from the medical side, but here he's doing it from the ballistic side, from the side of I know what a gun does, and when the gun does this is the impact that the gun does. I think it's a pretty interesting science. I think it's a pretty interesting science. So yeah, would it be something I would do? No. Physics is the reason I would never do this. Maths, sure. Physics, no. Count me out. The next one thing that he did is crime scene reconstruction. Yeah, so as we go through his evidence, we're going to hear all those details. Another reason why I say, you know what, I accept his qualifications. He did what? He did the National Diploma in Policing with UNISA. Okay, with UNISA. It's a diploma, not like our other semi-learned friend, former witness, Colonel Stain, Mr. Stain, retired Mr. Stain. Remember him? The cell phone expert, the download expert over there at the South African Police Services. He doesn't have a diploma. He has 2 weeks here and there, 6 weeks here and there, and it's just, for me, circumstantial evidence, which is why we see him talk about adding 2 hours with the UTC and making it sound like it is some astronomical phenomenon when it is grade 2 knowledge that there is no Ed and Dondoni 2 hours here in South Africa. But you know what? I digress. Let's continue listening on because now we get into Mangena'S past cases, famous cases, dominant cases, the cases that makes him, the expert, or in this case, why he is being endorsed for his version of things. Is it appropriate to have put these on records? We'll talk about this after.
Now, Lieutenant Colonel, can we for a moment stand still at the cases that you've been involved in? Can you mention some of the noteworthy cases that you were involved in?
Have you taken steps to test the wound at the back? You know what you spoke about, the ricochet bullet that hit the deceased at the back. Did you test that? Did you go to photographs, blow it up to find striations?
Yes, I did that, my lady. I could see the striations on that thing.
Where? Did you test the magazine rack to see if it is consistent with
the
striations?
magazine rack.
The magazine rack in the toilet.
My lady, which part of the magazine rack could have caused that? I don't get it. I won't get it.
Did you test the magazine rack to see if it was consistent with the striations?
No, my
on the
lady.
back?
And I tend to disagree that it cannot be a magazine rack. The magazine rack is big now. How can that small be caused by the
If you say the magazine, what is the handle on top?
It's wood.
And how does it look?
It's
How big
not
is
flat,
it?
it's not straight, but if it comes into contact with the body, that round shape, it's not only that it's going to be the small part that comes into contact with the body, it's going to be a bigger part that comes into contact with the body.
I'm not going to be in a long debate. The experts on behalf of the defense have tested, they've found the striations, compared it to the magazine rack and found them to be consistent.
I tend to disagree with that, man.
Yes, but you haven't tested it.
If that's the test that they can give me the test and I can look at the test and I can confirm that, man.
Have you tested it?
If apparently what the defense saying, the witnesses tested that, then they can bring the test, I can look at the test. If it's possible, then I can confirm to that.
You're welcome, Captain Mangena, to go and test it and of course to come back.
My Lord, I did a lot of cases. I was involved in the reconstruction of the Oscar Pistorius case.
Did you testify in that case?
That's correct, my Lord. I testified in the case.
In which forum was the case heard?
It was in the High Court in Pretoria.
Lelo cala ke lalikulwa khona la enkantolo ephakeme yasePitoli.
Do you remember if any finding was made regarding your evidence?
My Lord, I can't remember the findings which you made, but he was found guilty based on my evidence.
Yes.
I also did the Luke Tibet case, the toddler who was hit by a stray bullet on the head while on the mother's lap.
In Heidelberg.
The name?
No, it was in Joburg.
And talking of a case where a toddler was hit by a bullet whilst on the mother's lap, was there another similar case that you were involved in Delmas?
In Delmas,
Involving a toddler on the mother's back?
I did that one, but I can't remember the findings. I also did reconstruction on that one also.
Is it correct that that case involved a deflection of a bullet on an overhead power line?
Oh, yes, I remember that one.
Yes, can you
it
just
was
provide-
a shot fired, and then the bullet hit the pole, deflected from the pole into the house, and it hit the child who was in the house, went through the window, and the child was lying on the bed. Was not, but just immediately after the mother put him on the bed, and was also hit by the bullet.
Do you remember in which forum this case was heard?
It was also in High Court, the case.
Do you know if reliance was placed on your evidence or your report in that case?
Well, I can't remember.
Yes, that's fine. Yes, other cases?
I was also involved in reconstruction of the Babita Diokoran case.
And that case was recently finalized, in fact, last week.
That's correct.
Do you know how it was finalized?
The accused in the matter pleaded guilty.
Yes, other cases?
I have a problem, my lord, with this line of eliciting evidence, because there is no reference that has been made in the statements that we have. At least maybe if we can be given case numbers of those cases so that we can on our own go and make a cross-reference on what the witness is testifying about now, because seemingly it becomes part of his evidence. I don't know the relevance on the part of the state.
No, he's just testifying about his experience in giving evidence in court. So if the defense wants to get hold of those cases, you can do so.
Thank you, my lord. If we can be given case numbers and the year, then we can be able to go and check those cases so that we can verify if this information is correct.
At least
or
the ones
not.
he has quoted, I know them all.
Yes. Unfortunately, I don't know them. I have to go and check them, my lord.
Fine.
Yes.
Of assistance to
Yeah,
the defense
just,
in this regard, my lord.
Fine, okay.
Yes, other cases you can remember, perhaps?
I can't, because I did a lot of cases, my lord.
Yeah. Any recent high-profile investigations?
The recent one.
Yes.
The recent one that I did, my lord, it's last month, end of last month, at the beginning of this month. I was in DRC to assist with the reconstruction of the case where the former Minister of Transport was found with a gunshot wound in the head.
And can you just briefly tell the court about that? What were your findings?
My findings on that case, my lord, it was mentioned that he has been assassinated, but when I did the reconstruction, I could tell that the wounds are staying as self-inflicted wounds.
A serious problem for us because now the witness is testifying about the case as far as the
No,
person
Mr.
is
Minister,
concerned.
this witness is telling us about his experience.
But I think,
And I think it's relevant for this court to know whether he's an expert or not.
yes, but suffice it to say that he attended the case in LRC where he was also involved.
Yeah, like for instance, he says he was trained. Wait, he says he was trained by the FBI. So must we all go to America now?
No, but that's not the same. I mean, for this witness to come and then testify on the
Evidence is
on the
allowed.
merits of the
Okay,
case
the
is
evidence is
LRC.
allowed. Can we continue, Mr. Balwe?
As a court, please, my lord. Yes, you may proceed. Yes, you were telling about your findings.
I said the findings were that the wounds are staying self-inflicted.
Any other cases outside the borders of the country wherein you were involved?
My lord, I did a number of cases in Lesotho also. I was assisting Lesotho in a number of cases. I can't remember the year, but I did other cases in Ivory Coast where 45 people were shot by the French soldiers or the French army, where I went with Professor Simon to reconstruct the incidents.
And who is Professor Simon?
Professor Simon of the pathologist who was working in Pretoria.
Yes, any other cases?
I can't remember.
Although objected by the defense, specifically Advocate Mnisi and Advocate Mshololo, Ramasipidi and Ngumalo are missing in action in this. They did not object or say anything to the contrary, okay? So Mr. Mangena'S case history was allowed into the record by Judge Rata. And if I might add, insistently allowed by Judge Rata. He found this relevant. So some of the cases that he mentioned, I gave you a sneak peek of the first one, which was the Oscar Pistorius case. So he was a key witness in that case in getting that conviction. Let me know in the comment section if you want me to do a recap of his witness statement in that case, and I'll do a separate video on that. Then there was the two separate toddlers who were hit by stray bullets. I believe the state brought this up because of the SENZO MEYIWA bullet and the trajectory of that bullet. Okay, I guess they're trying to demonstrate his skill, okay, to get convictions and also to reconstruct crime scenes that are quite complex. As you know, the SENZO MEYIWA crime scene is quite complex because we have magical bullets that can go through a door but not break or shatter a glass. Like those glasses are absolutely bulletproof, and he's able to reconstruct scenes, which is what the state is trying to portray here. Next is the Babita case. May her soul rest in peace. She was the whistleblower, okay, who gave the information about the, I think, 300 million rands. Yeah, let me know if you want me to do a separate video on that case. As he said, it has just concluded. And finally, he also went over there to the DRC, okay, to assist with the reconstruction of the scene of the former Minister of Transport, where he was found with a gunshot wound to the head, and it was assumed that he was murdered, only to find out that he self-worked to end his life. Okay, so let me know. Yeah, I'm not sure I can find information on that. Actually, yeah, we'll skip that one. Let's not do that one. We'll stick to South African cases for now. And one other case that he mentions, he says he also does a lot of cases in Lesotho, and then also he mentions that he also went to Ivory Coast. So he's pretty much a traveler. Okay, I wonder if we put to him the question, and I put it to the defense, ask him when he travels to the Ivory Coast or to this would be fun. The defense should definitely put it to him, okay, that when he travels to the Ivory Coast, okay, because this is on the record, and the DRC, does he add 2 hours when he is traveling over there, up there in Africa? When does the time change? And does that affect his evidence and his affidavits when he's writing down the time? Does he add the 2 hours that we're supposed to add here in South Africa, according to Stain, which nobody else knows about? Let me know in the comment section down below your thoughts on Mangena'S introduction so far. Let me know your thoughts so far. What are your thoughts on it? And I will continue to load more videos on his past witness testimony that is on record, okay? And now the defense is coming to cross-examine him on Monday. So if you want me to continue doing these videos, I can only do them if I see that there's an interest for them, and this was highly requested in my comment section. So make sure that you're watching, make sure that you're liking, sharing, and definitely commenting, of course, and that will give me an indication that you want me to continue. Otherwise, we might end it here and then just pick up with the defense cross-examination. All right, so if you've made it this far in the video, you already know you have my heart. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Share the video with the last 3 people you chatted with on what? On WhatsApp. Remember as well, if you want to check me out on my other channel, visit gnu.unfiltered, where I'm breaking down a lot of what happened last week, Julius Malema and Floyd. But and a lot more things that are happening. Bold drama. Oh my goodness. It's a lot. Okay. Good ningi. So I'm going to be keeping that content on my other channel. So make sure to join me over there. Support the channel. Subscribe, like, comment, and let's grow our second home as well. It's our vacation home. Okay. So yeah. Don't forget as well to share this video. And if you're subscribed to the channel, thank you so much. You absolutely have my heart. If you're watching from outside the club, please consider subscribing, as this gives contribution to the channel and shows that you too are enjoying the content. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on my next upload.